Welcome back, everybody, to Maniacal Music Musings. I'm your host, Jeremy, as always. We're back once again, broadcasting from beyond the grave, the unforgettable tag team of Death Incorporated. I don't need to wear a disguise, though, to be your wife's midnight lover, that is. Just ask her, and she'll tell you I'm bigger than you. Giggity, it's true. I make grannies gone crazy when I give them my invincible sausage and give them a catharsis of a brand new numb. My co-host, though. My co-host. Her Numa is holding on to smoke as she talks in codes, as always. She'll give her... What the fuck? She'll give her thoughts and... Give her your thoughts and prayers. Why the fuck can't I read my shit? As she comes down from her chocolate chip trip in a rock police holding cell. She deserves to be there, though, I'm telling you. She's a zombie rock machine who tells you to give your life for rock and roll as she shakes her booty to some disco evil. She likes to eat babes for breakfast and bitches for lunch while loud and loaded humming her devil's lullaby. Jaimie motherfucking Fuller, ladies and gents.
Hey, you darn right I'm talking in code for all that disco evil bopping going on. What a week of songs. I tell you what, this is a good one. Good job.
You're very welcome. And did I forget my fucking cell phone in there? Of course
better weeks on the intro, but we did good today. We did good.
I'm glad I didn't do like Motley Crue or something like that.
You make it all work.
That would have been better intro material than fucking Tool. But just saying. I had to look up what some of these words fucking meant. But
now you're invincible.
Oh
yes. Exactly. But folks, we're back once again. As you can already tell, I think this is going to be a good one. I think it will be. But we have a guest as always. Our guest this week is David Richards, former Marine Corps officer and now an international best-selling author. Welcome, David.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. What a cool, I love this. I'm so looking forward to this. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely... it was good album choices this week. I'm not gonna lie, good album choices, and we'll get into that more in a minute. But I gotta ask, David, because I'm looking at your profile and I'm like, I message pretty much anybody to try to get him on the show because
Sure.
It's a show for everybody.
Sure.
Anybody can talk music. But I'm looking at yours and I'm like, I almost guarantee this guy's not gonna answer or he's gonna say no. And then, because I get a lot, trust me, I get a lot of both of those with people. So
yeah, for sure.
Especially once I tell them to listen to the show first, then they usually don't come back. But so why did you want to come talk music? I'm dying to hear the music connection to everything else I read about your life.
Oh my gosh, music is such a huge part of my life. So I'm a little older than the both of you, I'm guessing. So I grew up in the 70s and my dad listened to ABBA, and on the radio you'd hear like Earth, Wind, and Fire, but you'd also hear some Zeppelin. My brother was really the big musical person. So I think by the time I was 6, I'd been exposed to Kiss, I'd been exposed to the Rolling Stones, I'd been exposed to the Beatles, because that's what my brother collected. And Kiss, obviously, to see the Destroyer album cover, like my brother had all the albums. And so as a 6-year-old, I remember he joined the Kiss Army and they sent him a package. And one of the things they sent was like a love gun. It was like a snap gun that you'd actually pop open. And of course, as a 6-year-old, you don't know what the love gun really means, but you're like, this is cool. Like these guys wear makeup on their face. And we lived on Japan, the island of Okinawa, Japan for 3 years when I was in 5th grade. And my musical taste started to shift. I was listening to a band called Asia, appropriately enough, got into some REO Speedwagon. And then I came back and you don't realize, back then you didn't realize how unique an experience it was to live in Japan for 3 years in the 1970s and early 1980s. And I came back and things were so different because I realized I was one of a minuscule portion of my classmates that had that experience growing up in the military. And so then everything shifted. I got into Motley Crue, I got into Ozzy, to Rat, all the hair bands in the 80s. And it was just and that was that fueled my teenage angst. And then I joined the military and it was Guns N' Roses, it was Stone Temple Pilots, it was Pearl Jam, and just kind of continued going down like a heavier, even though the grunge thing was big, was Metallica. And music has always been like a huge part of my life. And then I got out of the Marines in 2006 and became a yoga instructor. That wasn't part of the plan, but it just sort of happened. And that opened me up to like just different esoteric bands like Dead Can Dance. I got into Azama Lee, Lisa Gerard, and some other people. And I just, music to me is, it's awesome when you can hear different styles of music that create different emotions. And that's, for me, what music is all about.
Exactly. That's the point of this show, is to make people experience music they might not ever hear about otherwise. I've been introduced to bands and singers on this show that I never knew existed, for God's sake. And some of them I end up loving, and they're now stuff I listen to on a weekly basis almost. But
Right. And
it's
like
just,
you were saying, there is an age difference between all of us. But what's great is you grew up on the same music I ended up growing up on because of the parents that I had, that the way they were about with their music. They weren't going to censor anything. And I really like that. And they had me listen to everything. So everything you named off, I'm like, yep. Throwing some Beatles, throwing some Leonard Skinner, like Motley Crue, all sorts of stuff. Kiss, definitely a lot of 80s hair metal and fun stuff. But I love how, though there's the age difference, we still essentially listen to a lot of the same stuff at a very young age.
Well, and that's the other thing too, right? Is it connects people. Like I remember I loved Iron Maiden growing up. I didn't see them for the first time in concert until 2009, I think. I mean, they've been around since 1979. So that was like 30 decades, basically, by the time I discovered them. But there's such a universal appeal. And a lot of the bands are different. It's so funny because maybe I was preparing for this mentally, but I just watched the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg last night. And
nice.
To go back into the kind of the decadence of what it was like with Judas Priest and those other bands, where it was just like really sex, drugs, and rock and roll was epitomized. But you see there's such different genres, and that's what I loved about some of the picks today was like it just made me feel back to those, like that 80s kind of a simplicity to metal before it got really, like, I think when I think of like the evolution of heavy metal, and I say heavy metal in terms of what's socially popular, I would say it was like Queensryche or Iron Maiden, because they had like a more thoughtful dialogue to their music rather than just sex, drugs, and rock and roll, which is like Motley Crue, Rat, a lot of the other bands that just kind of churned out, like, because it was a very popular thing at the time too, obviously.
And I mean, well, God, Iron Maiden are the freaking legendary rock storytellers for a reason. But God, they hit so many mythologies in their freaking music, it's mind blowing. But I mean, I grew up with pretty much all the bands you named in different ways or shapes, except for some of the few at the end. I'm like, who the hell are all these people?
Right.
But most of them I recognized. And hey, Brian, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Head of Parapost Networks. And RIP to a good friend of Parapost Network, Raymond Newsom, one of the greatest paranormal investigators out there. He passed away suddenly a couple days ago. It's been a shock to the community. So, God, I haven't been alive since he passed. So, I had to throw that out there. And hey, Harley, thank you for watching. And Joanne, thank you for watching all the way from Canada. It's cold up there right now. Close enough. And I think everybody had a brother or cousin who had Led Zeppelin as a favorite band at some point in their life. It's just one of those things. Led Zeppelin's timeless. But, well, with all this music, what album did you want to bring, David, and why?
I chose Tool's Fear Inoculum because it was, I remember probably in their last album before that came out in 2006, and Fear Inoculum was released in August of 2019. And I think for probably 4 or 5 years, at least on a monthly basis, I would search the internet to see if the new album was coming out. And when you listen to the music and the themes of the songs, and you put it, 5 months before the pandemic, it's pretty epic. Like, it's an epic album when you look at what some of the songs are about. And then just as someone I remember asked the band after the pandemic kind of set, like, are you guys like spiritually connected to the universe? How did you know this was going to happen, kind of thing? Their music is so complex and its orchestration, right? Their time beats, the signatures, the sacred geometry they put into their music, and then the thoughtfulness that goes into the lyrics combined with just the deep chords within the drumming is epic, the guitars, the bass, it's all so intricate. And to me, Tool is kind of just epitomizes kind of the progressive metal scene.
Jaimie, I'm debating which one of us is gonna do our album first tonight. So, you have any preference either way?
What going with his album?
Well, no. Which one of us is gonna go next? Is the question.
Oh, you're gonna go next.
Oh, that just made my mind up. Thank you, folks. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Tool, my former co-host brought '90s Tool albums on a couple times, and I like to call them a tool for bring them on, just because it's I people give me shit for this constantly, but I have a thing where I just don't like a lot of '90s grunge. It's just not my scene. Tool's a little bit different. I get that they're not the Nirvana, they're not the freaking Alice in Chains, any of that stuff. Like they're different, but I just never could get into freaking Tool. I never could get into them. It's not heavy enough for me, or it's not fast enough for me, or just not energetic enough. I don't really know the definition of how to explain this shit. Even it's just not something I can get into. This album was different. This album, when I previewed it to try to pick my album, which we'll get to in a bit. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what to think of this. I really don't. It's Tool, but it's different Tool, but it kind of reminded me of the symphonic metal bands I love. It reminded me of the albums they put out, where it's about the journey and the storytelling more than just a 3 minute song, a 3 minute song, a 3 minute song, like every other Tool album I've ever heard. So, and I mean, yes, part of me wants to complain that some of the songs are too fucking long and just moments of like nothing going on, and that's the Tool that pissed me off always, is when nothing's going on with the music, where it's just like one guitar note, and I was like, that part drove me nuts. And it took me a long time to this CD was fucking long. It took me a long time to get through it today, and I was like, oh my gosh, like parts of it, I'm like, this is over yet? Is this over yet? But other parts of it, I really got into it for a few minutes. Like I would hear a drum freaking beat I freaking love. I would hear a guitar riff I love, and like there was elements of it I really liked. I couldn't see myself ever listening to the whole album again, and I didn't put any of them in my like song list as much as I wanted to, because I just never could see myself listening to a 15-minute song in the car like that. Never. And I listen to 21-minute songs by Nightwish and Avantasia, but there's more story in them. There's more music changing. It's a whole different world. So, I mean, it's overall though, I enjoyed the CD. I'm happy I heard it once. I kind of wanted to check out their new album that came out once Chancey made me listen to the old ones, and I mean, he brought Anima, and he brought another one I can't remember the name of at this moment. But so I mean, yeah, this one was different, and I enjoyed it to some degree. What can I say? If I had to give it a rating, I guess 3.5 out of 5 would actually be kind of fair with it. But because I didn't hate it too much to give it a lower one than that. But Jaimie, what did you think? So I can shut up.
Honestly, it's not their best album, but I still enjoyed listening to it, though I did have to verify several times if the song was over or if I was going on to the next one, because I felt like they could flow very well together. But overall, I went between a 3.5, 4 stars, so I settled on a 4 star out of 5, because it gave me feeling of old Tool and new Tool. So I think it hit both points for me. It is when you break it down song by song, that is long ass song to throw in the middle of a shuffle. I do have to say, this is a kind of album I got to be in the mood for, but I'm in the mood for Tool a lot. I like Tool. My boyfriend is a huge Tool fan. In fact, he happens to be wearing his Tool shirt right now. Like, that wasn't even planned, but he's a big fan too, so it's just I will listen to it more often than Jeremy probably would, but it is not in my mix, like my everyday mix, because I don't want that in the middle of my rap and country and dance and who knows God what else I play. But it's a 4 out of 5 for me.
I mean, and Jaimie, trying to contain myself when you're talking about your boyfriend liking Tool and then you wanting Tool every day, it's just like, uh, oh,
Well,
God. But
it happens. Very happy over here, okay?
and I'll say I'll freaking put on Tool more faster than I ever would put on Nirvana, for God's sake. So yeah, 100%. But so
True.
not a bad choice. But here's always the fun part. What were your top 5 songs, David, for the album you brought?
Yeah, so I would, in descending or ascending order, I should say, since there's a song called Descending. For me, the title track, Fear Inoculum, really love that one. Just a great intro. And again, on the eve of the pandemic, so to speak, it was pretty intense. Descending was next. I loved just the repetition of the song and how it feels as it plays out, and the lyrics are obviously pretty monumental. Invincible is next, just because it's such a cool riff and just a really interesting perspective. Pneuma, which means soul, so love that.
I googled it.
And then the official title is Seven Empist, because all the songs are done in 7 time. But Seven Empist to me, with the 11-minute guitar solo, is fucking epic. Like, that is just, there's so much going on in that guitar solo, it blew me away.
Yeah. Okay. That has made this a little more interesting. But I had 2 honorable mentions. Pneuma got my first honorable mention because it was a pretty decent song, and Fear Inoculum, good track, just too fucking long. Like, they could have cut out like 5 minutes in the middle at least. But the drums at the end of it are fucking incredible. That's what really got struck out to me. Like, that's when I first started being like, all right, maybe the CD has something. My number 5 was Descending, because it got really good at like 7 minutes and 30 seconds in. The instrumentals got really amazing in it. You could have cut out 5 minutes before it, just saying. But my number 4 was Invincible. That song was really well done. That kind of reminded me the most of Old Tool, that song. But number 3 was Chocolate Trip, because that was a funky ass song, and the percussion on that is amazing. The percussion in that song is amazing. I was a drummer for a short-lived time in my life, so I do enjoy good percussion here and there. My number 2, this is a weird one because I usually don't do this type of stuff, but my number 2 was Litany contre la Pure, because it sounds like something out of a '60s Doctor Who episode. And I love old school Doctor Who, so I freaking like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, is the TARDIS popping up behind me or something? What the fuck? And my number 1 was also Seven Empst, because that was an amazing track. Like, the music in that whole track was fucking incredible. That's the only song I was like, all right, this could stay long. I'll keep this one long. That's just perfectly fine. I could just listen to this in the background while I'm doing emails and shit, and just be able to focus still and just have that going. So, fucking A. Not bad. If I can get honorable mentions out of it, then it's actually decent. But Jaimie, what were your top 5?
I don't have a top 5, because if I had a top 5, I'd still have an honorable mention that would be the other 5. So either way, I have an opinion about every song. I do love how Fear Inoculum started off. That was a great start to the album. I felt like as soon as it started and it really got into one of the guitar riffs, I just knew I was going to enjoy the album. But Pneuma, honestly, when you had said something, David, about it, I had heard Mike just say that's probably his favorite song. And then I have to say my notes were I was loving on it. It also gave me Primus vibes. Needless to say, Primus is coming to concert with A Perfect Circle, which was one of my choices last week. So I'm so excited about that. And what?
The Primus part sounds good.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. Anyways,
the Primus part sounds good. The rest of it,
oh, let me tell you. Anyways, the song number 3 was Legion Opulent. I could do without that, just like I could do without the last song. on the whole album. Let me see here. I feel like there was a few songs I didn't mind. They kind of went over a little too quickly before I realized they were over. That was like the fifth song on there. But Descending is a song you can easily get lost listening, I guess you can say. Um, I didn't have any destination in my head when I listened to it. I was at work listening to it, so I can imagine if I was out driving around, I would have probably continued like road tripping for the hell of it if that song was playing. Um Calling Voices, I really love that. That was a good one. I was not a fan of Chocolate Chip Trip, whatever. Sorry, just wasn't my thing. Even though I wanted to love it with the name. Seven Emst was another love that I had, and like I said, Mockingbeat, the last song, is a song I could do without. But overall,
Yeah.
I'd say there's maybe 3 songs on this whole thing that I really loved.
And what's funny is I add a couple of them by like listen to Spotify before I realized how long they were, and I was like, yeah, taking that off.
Well, and that's my thing is like I just kept listening to them, and I'm like, wait, are we on a new song already? And I'm like, and I was like, no, this is an even longer song. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just pay attention to when it switches. I don't care. I'm gonna end up liking the whole album. So it was just a matter of figuring out what I really liked about it. And I think there was just lots of parts that really took you places, but kind of took me nowhere, which is where I need to learn to empty my mind sometimes. So this album would be good for that.
It's a little long for that, I would think, but okay.
Yeah, sometimes there's a lot of shit in here that's gonna take a while to get out, Jeremy. Come on now.
You don't gotta tell me, Jaimie. You don't gotta tell me. But all right. Well, I guess it's time, since Jaimie insisted I go first, that we go into my album next. Because, well, see, when I don't know what to bring for an album, which I never know what to match with Tool. I mean, I really don't. I'm just not a '90s fan, so even the '90s albums, I was like, what the fuck to bring against this shit? But
I feel like you did a good job of doing something different. Like I feel
I'm getting to that.
good.
So
I like it.
I looked at the year 2019. I'm looking at all the albums that came out that year on Wikipedia, and I'm like, this was not a good year for music I like, apparently. And funny enough, there's one album I almost brought, but we'll be talking about that a little bit later, so we'll wait till we get to that. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, what's a rock album I've been wanting to bring on for a while, a band I haven't brought on in a minute? And I was going to go Powerwolf for a hot second, Jaimie, but then I'm like, wait a minute, no. That was the first episode Jaimie was ever on, was a Powerwolf album. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that again to her. Not yet, at least. That'll happen eventually. But I'm like, I got to bring a...
No.
I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, Jaimie knows one song by Lordi, but she never has experienced a full album by Lordi. So I'm like, let's bring Lordi. And I'm like, I've been wanting to bring Babes for Breakfast for a hot minute because it's one of my favorite fucking Lordi albums. And it's just so many. It's just one of those albums you can listen to all the way through and like over and over again and not get sick of it. It's just so fun. So I'm like, fuck it. Babes for breakfast and some bitches for lunch. Why the fuck not? And this album is 100% a 5 out of 5 for me. There literally is not one song on this album I have to skip over by listening to the whole album. So I can easily get a 5 out of 5 because it's just right up there. When they released it, I was just fresh out of college, working a job, and it was where I can listen to music all day. And I used to blast this shit in my car, blast it in my headphones at work, everywhere I blast this fucking album. So, fuck yeah. But I'm dying to hear what you thought of it, David. I really am.
I loved it. I thought it was like I said. I don't know if it was just watching Rockstar last night. It pulled me back into like the '80s hair metal scene, right? And obviously much more topical in terms of different themes. Like they weren't doing sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but the beats were so consistent and the guitars were so consistent and had that kind of simple repetition to the songs, which is, there's an enchantment to that I really loved. In terms of my favorites, like I listened to different songs and I was like, oh, this makes me think of Judas Priest. This makes me think of like, this is a heavier version of Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden. Like it was cool. So I loved. Go ahead.
Well, save your top 5 for a minute, but
yeah.
But yeah, I it's funny because during the pandemic, their guitarist was leaving, so they recorded 6 albums and released them in 1 year. And it's called The Collection. And they literally went from era to era of music and were making albums based on the artists of that era. And there's an album I brought on the show a while back. The fuck's it called? But it's basically like a disco album in like the style of like Bee Gees and ABBA.
Wow.
Like, and I mean, but it's still their humor. It's still their style of songs. And I mean, yeah, they don't do rock and roll and drugs in their songs too much. They do sex plenty in their songs, trust me.
Sure.
But but they just they're like War that way, kind of. They kind of are like a Americanish version. Well, not Americanish,
They
but
give
a
you
version
an 80s version of Guar, Primus / just fun satire.
Yeah, and that's what it was fun. Like that was a great way to explain it. It was fun. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I've never heard of this band. They have some very funny and ironic lyrics, and yet all the tunes are catchy. Like they're all like, oh, I could do this. Yeah,
So
okay.
then you'll like the song "Who's Your Daddy?" Just so you know, once you hear it, you will start singing it randomly. It's off of one of their other albums.
Okay.
Jeremy introduced them to me, and I couldn't stop with that song.
It's actually it's funny. I was gonna say something about that album because that's their best album they ever put out. It came out in I believe 2006. It's called Inoculum. It's literally the best album they ever put out. It's one of the songs on it, one of the Eurovision Song of the Year, and that the year it came out. Like it's fucking their best album by far. And yes, Who's Your Daddy's on it, and it's just they are. I mean, my old co-host used to always say that Guar's the better version of them because they were there first. And I'm like, they are better than Guar by far. They are so much more enjoyable. Guar's great. I fucking love Guar. Don't get me wrong. But they are just more, their songs are catchier to me. The songs are more fun. Guar songs are what they're supposed to be. They're about destroying shit and fucking up the world. But I mean, it's what they're supposed to be. But it's just, they're not as fun. Their lyrics are great, but they're just not as fun as Lordi. And Lordi's basically like that party band who, just wanted to produce a horror movie, so they did it. Which is called Dark Floors. There's no way to watch it on streaming, I found out. I'm still trying to figure out a way to watch it, but it's called Dark Floors, and I've been told by my horror movie fans that it's freaking hilarious and amazing. So, but
okay.
Jaimie, what did you finally think of Lordi after listening to a full album?
Well, I honestly, David took the words right out of my mouth. It gave you that 80s hairball, hair metal type of vibe, satire fun that I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Trying to figure out of 15 songs, which 5 were my favorite. That was kind of hard because I almost needed to take notes on the songs to refer back to them. So I tried to listen to it a few times, and I caught myself probably like tapping my foot quite a bit and jamming out at work. So I probably looked ridiculous, but there's a lot of fun moments on them. So 3.5 out of 5 for sure.
And I will say, actually, that's why I brought up Inoculum too, is because that's how I discovered them. I found Inoculum at FYE, and I just like saw the cover, and I'm like, "What is this?"
FYE, man, that's like Sam Goody days. What's up?
Wow, that's a throwback.
I shout out FYE. I actually shout out FYE all the time in the show, just because it's where I discovered a lot of music. But
were you on your way back from Blockbuster when you stopped by FYE?
Blockbuster was closed down by this point, actually.
Okay,
but yeah, I used to just go to FYE like when I was at the mall randomly and would look at album covers and be like, "Oh, this looks like it might be something I like," and I would go put it in the sample machine, listen to a few tracks, and either yay or nay it, and discovered a lot of great artists at FYE. Fucking. I mean, they still exist. There's some in the malls around Massachusetts. There's some in the malls around Massachusetts here still. Like you can still go to them. So, kids should take advantage of that. The internet doesn't have everything, and you can't see album covers unless you go to every fucking album that's out there. So, just browse the store. Browse the fucking store is what I'm saying. All right. So, try not to kill me, folks. But I did not pull a Jeremy on this. I was trying my damn hardest not to take the whole album and rank it, and I didn't because there's a couple tracks I left off. Couple. But
yeah, just a couple. You're supposed to choose 5.
Well, I made a top 11, so deal with it.
So then start at 5 and go down. Shut her down, sir. Shut it down.
I mean, I'll go through the honorable mentions fast because they're all just there because they're fucking amazing songs. Rock Police, the first one we're mentioning, because Rock Police is just a fun song. Really, not much else to say about that. Zombie Rock Machine is the next one because I almost wish they did a video for that one because the video would be fucking amazing. And Walking Dead was really big at the time this album came out, so Zombie Rock Machine was kind of a cool background to Walking Dead. My number 9 was Give Your Life for Rock and Roll because that is a fucking amazing rock anthem, and it actually is almost like a follow up to me to their Eurovision winning song Hard Rock Hallelujah, but it's kind of the same theme. My number 8 was Disco Evil because that basically is what Lordy is. That's their theme song almost because they are Disco Evil. That's what they're supposed to be. So I fucking love that song, and I'm a huge disco fan. It was one of my first genres I loved as a kid. So I love the disco metal they do. It's just, and that song has so much great disco in it. My number 7 was Call It the Wedding. And actually, it's tied into my number 6, Midnight Lover 2. Because when this album came out, I was pining after this girl I worked with really fucking hard. Not stalkerish level yet, but like really hard. And I freaking like these two songs got me through a lot of emotions. So I freaking love these songs. And I mean, in Call It the Wedding, I love that fucking chorus of my demons are coming home. Like it's fucking oof. I could feel that. My number 5 was I'm Bigger Than You because I think that song's fucking amazingly hilarious, and I'm a big guy. I mean, 400 pounds, 6 foot used to be. So I Am Bigger Than You was always true for me in every sense of the word. So it was just like always a theme song for me in a way. My number 4 was Loud and Loaded because it's fucking a hilarious fucking song. Chopped off your sister's finger, threw the baby out the window to see if it would fly. Like that's the Lordy I love. Like that's the Lord. That's when they're like war. Like they just get like destructive as shit. It's amazing. Number 3 was Devil's Lullaby because it's a great way to end the album for them. And I mean, I sing along with Devil's Lullaby when I fucking hear it playing in the car. Like it's just, I love the organ in the beginning of it. It's just perfect. Like it's one of the most perfect songs I ever did. My number 2 is the title track, Babes for Breakfast, because that's what turned me. As soon as I heard this album, I heard that track come on. I was like, "Oh, Babes for Breakfast, bitches for lunch." I fucking love it. It's so lordy, and it has multiple meanings, so it works. And my number 1, which you always love this song, but I never thought I'd put it at number 1. But just thinking about it today, I'm like, you know what? It is number 1. Granny's Gone Crazy, because it's one of the truest fucking songs out there. Little girls dressing up like whores, mothers too fat to fit out the door, grown men dressing up like girls. This is not my world. Like, it's one of the. This came out in, I think, 2013, and then like that's the truest statement because that's when the world started going crazy with all this shit that you see on reality TV. So like, I got myself thinking today. I'm like, the older generations, how much this like really seem to them, like the people in their 80s and 90s. Like this has to seem like the world's gone upside down and fucking gone straight to hell. Like I was thinking about it like the whole way home. Like that's gotta be insane. Like just to have everything get thrown out the window, like the baby. So I mean, it's pretty. That song really hit me hard today, and I was thinking a lot about it. So I freaking, and I love that song. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But now, David, I want to hear your top 5. I really do.
All right. So my honorable mention was Call It the Wedding. Just I love know that I've ever heard a song about canceling a wedding, and I just like just the title caught me, and I was like, oh, okay. And it's their lyrics are fascinating in terms of what they cover. Next was This Is Heavy Metal because it was just like a classic, like hard rock kind of sound to it. Then I did Disco Evil, Give Your Life to Rock and Roll. Again, just another one like it smacks of early Kiss kind of in terms of the ideas that it's espousing. Rock Police was just, I think you said it, a fun song, like just a fun anthemy song. And then I also loved Loud and Loaded. It was just very, I think in some ways they're almost a more established version of Spinal Tap, like with just like what Spinal Tap used to point at in their lyrics. They've just doing it in a way that's become like industrial enterprise for them, which I didn't know about the 6 albums during the pandemic, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, they to this day have to have a good 20 albums out. And it's actually funny because on their second CD they did a song called "Get Heavy," which is a lot like This Is Heavy Metal, and "Get Heavy" is such a good fucking like metal anthem. Like, and then that's actually might be tied for their best CD is their second album because the album is actually called "Get Heavy" too. It's a fucking amazing album. I brought that on the show a while back too. See, that's the problem. I want to bring Lordy, and then I'm like, fuck, what albums have I brought before? And I gotta go through the list and be like, yep. Fuck, I'm running out of options here, folks. But Jaimie, what are your top 5 for Lordy? Quiet over there.
Well, unlike you, I actually had a freaking top 5. Okay.
How dare you?
Only one honorable mention because it made me feel like Bang Your Head vibes from back in the 80s. Give Me Your Life. That song really got me. It definitely gave me the 80s vibes. But my number 5 was Call Off the Wedding, of course, it's funny. Number 4 is Disco Evil. Number 3, song that gets stuck in your head quite easily, Babes for Breakfast. I did teeter-totter on putting that one anywhere between my first and second spot also, but I ended up liking Zombie Rock Machine for my second song. And my number 1, I actually caught myself digging Nonstop Night.
It's Nonstop Night's is just too simple for me. That's why I didn't put it on the list even. It's just a little too simple. Like it's
Maybe
a good.
That's
I mean,
why I like it, because sometimes it's nice to not be complicated and overthink it or overdo it or over anything. So I don't know. I like it.
I mean, it's a good. I mean, they're all good songs. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love them all, but I was trying to think of ones I could leave off. I was trying to think of ones I could leave off the list actually, and as hard as that was, there was a couple. But all right, Jaimie, I'm actually dying for this. So let's get into your album.
All right. Well, basically, what I chose, I tried to go along the lines of what we were aiming for with music overall, with your guys' choices. But then I just took a look at the year, and I'm like, you know what? Contrary to belief, folks, I have not dug into these albums of this band at all. I've only heard their stuff here and there. So I did Motionless in White, Disguise from their 2019 album. And I'm very flippin' happy with my damn choice. For once, Jeremy, I can say booyah, damn good album. I gave it a 4.5. Dare I almost want to give it 5 out of 5. Probably maybe 5 out of 5 because it's my choice, but 4.5 if I'm being real.
I can't wait till I get to my opinion, but first things first.
Good for you.
David, what did you think of Motionless in White?
So I'd be giving stars too. I don't remember if I should be doing that or not. So
it's your choice.
I will not.
It's up to you. I just give it star ratings for that.
I love Motionless in White for the energy. I love their chorus. To me, is always kind of one of their strong suits. What I find Motionless in White to me is similar to, say, like a Motley Crue. And what I mean by that is Motley Crue, when they got rid of Vince Neil, like in the early 90s or something, and they brought in, I think, John Corabi, and they did a completely different album, like completely different sound. And it was really intense because you're like, this does not sound like Motley Crue. It's actually like there's some depth to this that you don't hear in their normal stuff. And then people are like, we want Vince Neil back, and we want Motley Crue to sound like Motley Crue. And that's what their next like albums did. To me,
fucking John Corabi.
To me, that's Motionless in White. There's so much texture in their music, and yet I also feel like it's still like I can hear such a strong similarity between one album and the next album.
It is like that for them to an extent. I can tell that, like with Nickelback, your Korn album.
Yeah.
You know, like
yep.
I do see what you're saying with that. Still enjoyable, but there is that sound that they have. There's a distinct sound.
That's not a bad thing, though. That's not a bad thing in any fucking degree.
It's a good thing.
And I think my first experience with them was live. I saw them at Caroline Rebellion, this huge concert outside of Charlotte, and it was awesome because I mean, they played on one of the big stages. I think there were 4 stages. And so to take that kind of energy and feed it into a crowd, it was powerful, especially for that size of band. So I loved it. Yeah, I loved just the differences because, again, some of these songs were just some power. And I think there was such a nice contrast between Lordy, which has these really accessible rock anthems and very humorous lyrics oftentimes, and then Motionless in White, which there's this intensity to it, and the music and the lyrics speak to that intensity too, which, I mean, that's all for me, it's let me get into the album and explore it mentally to hear where they're trying to go with stuff. And for me, Motionless in White was powerful.
See, here's the thing. I never heard of Motionless in White until about maybe almost a year ago. My old co-host used to do this thing where he would, if people could find him on Facebook, he would let them recommend an album to bring on the show. And the first person that found him picked Motionless in White's Scoring the End of the World. And I didn't know. I was like, oh, one of these emo cut your wrist fucking bands. God help me. And like, so I listened to that album and I was like fucking blown away and amazed. And it's now one of my favorite bands because of that album. Like, there are so many fucking good tracks on that album. I think I surprised the shit out of Chancey when I had like fucking 13, 14 songs from that album on my list. But
dude, yeah, that album is like chef's kiss. Like, yes.
It is Scoring the End of the World, and I don't even know who the hell found Chancey to pick it. He said the name. I'd have to go back and listen to the episode to actually know the name, but
right.
It's not anybody I knew, and I fucking thanked them because that Motionless in White is fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting for somebody else to bring another album on. I really was. And when Jaimie said this album, I was like, fuck yes. Like, I didn't tell her. I'm like, I kept quiet about it, but like, inner me was like, fuck yes, Motionless in White. That'll even out Tool a little bit. And I was like, after listening to the album, it didn't disappoint me in one fucking bit. It's not as good as Scoring the End of the World, no fucking way, but it's still an amazing album. And see, it's funny. You say they remind you of Motley Crue, and I'm like, that's not what I get. I get a mixture of, because I think the lead singer is around my age. So I get a mixture of all these bands from the 90s, early 2000s thrown together. I see Linkin Park, I see Korn, I see Marilyn Manson, I see
in the manner of how Motley Crue has a distinct sound and
that's
vibe and or message to their music.
I guess. Yeah, I mean,
and the same is true. I mean, the same is true to an extent of Iron Maiden, right? Like, I love Iron Maiden.
Metallica.
I mean, for me, that's why I also brought Tool on, because if you hear Tool's early stuff in the 90s compared to what they're doing now, it is completely different. Like, it is it's a different band.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's reminiscent of all hair metal in that way, because most hair metal bands have very individual sounds because the singers' voices are all different and they're all very unique. Especially a good 80% of them are really unique. But I mean, Motionless in White, I just love the lead singer. I forget his fucking name now. I always forget his name, but I fucking love him as a singer. The band's amazing, and they remind me of all the 90s, 2000 bands I freaking love, like kind of like thrown into a blender and just put together. And I could hear like elements of when we did the first album of it, I could hear like I was calling out like all the elements of different things. There was a Marilyn Manson style song, there was a Korn style song they did. Like, they just could pull all these bands that I'm pretty sure they grew up with too, and just kind of honor them with these styles. So if I had to give it a rating, Jaimie, it would easily be a 4.5 out of 5.
Good. Lead singer is Chris. Anyways, I have to agree with you on that. Honestly, like I said, I hadn't really ever dug into their albums till now. I had heard them before, but never really dug into them like I probably should have. Kind of, back in the day when I went to concerts every other week, this would have been one of the bands I probably would have went to go see several times over. I do agree with you, Jeremy. This album's not as good as the other one you were mentioning. In fact, as soon as I got done listening to this one, my Spotify went right to that one. So I'm already adding that and liking on that, but I'm right there with you. It is a 4.5 out of 5 for me on this.
Red, White, and Boom is a very Marilyn Manson style song. And Werewolf is just fucking one of the best songs he's done. It's a fucking amazing song. But what were your top five for your own album, Jaimie?
Well, my top five, honestly, I had a hell of a time choosing a top five. I did end up doing it because I try to follow the rules, unlike some assholes over there. But anyways,
I tell everybody they can bring as many honorable mentions as they want. So I'm not breaking no damn rules. So
I
shut it.
I'm just like, then you might as well just say I brought the whole album and I really like it. Anyways,
It's called pulling with Jeremy. Yeah.
my number five, Undead Ahead 2. I really liked Brand New Numb. That was number 4. I kind of went between that. I don't know. This is where it really got hard for me, I guess. Disguise was my third favorite. But my number 2 song was Code. Really liked that one. But my number 1 for Weirdos and Your Stereo was Broadcasting from Beyond the Grave. There was something about every single song that I really wanted to say this is another favorite, or this is one that I really like that's right there with my favorites. So this was hard to rank, but I'd probably have to say between Code and Broadcasting, those are my favorites.
And David, what were your top five?
So I would go honorable mention to Another Life. It for some reason it made me think of Skid Row a little bit, like some of the edgier Skid Row stuff.
Yeah.
Then Headache. I really liked Headache in terms of like just the psychology to that song. Catharsis was my number 4. Undead Head 2 was cool to me, and that was like a darker version of Fear the Dark by Maiden. Like it was a heavier onslaught to that. Brand New Numb, and then Disguised was my number 1.
Yeah, I had 3 honorable mentions for this album as well because I had to. And first one was Catharsis because that was a great way to end the album. I thought it was a perfect out song, and good. It was awesome. Number 7 was Disguise.
That was a great outro. I usually make my comments on the intros, but I did forget that note to write down. So I agree with you, Jeremy, on that.
My number 7 was Disguise because it was a damn good intro song to the album. Like just to open up with that song was fucking incredible. Like they jump right into it, so fucking heavy and like right there in your face. And I hid myself to stay alive. I love that fucking line. Like it's a lot of people in the world I think can relate to that nowadays. So I fucking really like that one. And the last song I mentioned was Holding On to Smoke. I thought that was a really cool song. Like the meaning behind the words was really something I kept putting my head like around, like what the hell are they exactly meaning by this shit? So my number 5 was Thoughts and Prayers. I thought that was a really good song. I didn't think I was gonna like it based on the title, but I actually really enjoyed it. Brand New Numb was my number 4 because that is an amazing song. And then top 3 were the fucking. My number 3 was Code because it reminded me of Linkin Park. I honestly could hear Chester and his voice in that song. So I actually said it a long time ago before they picked that fucking girl to replace Chester. This fucking singer should replace Chester. Like he could have done it. He could have fucking done it.
Yeah, he could do it. There's no question of that. It's not. He doesn't need to. He needs to stay where he's at. I think the girl's just fine for Linkin Park.
Oh gosh, she's horrible. She's fucking garbage. But my number 2 was Broadcasting from Beyond the Grave, Death Inc. They do these theme songs. Ice Nine Kills kind of does the same thing, where like they bring back the same like beginning title and then they like just change after it. And Ice Nine Kills doesn't do it as good as freaking Motionless in White does, but Broadcasting Death from Beyond the Grave was a freaking amazing song. And then my number 1 had to be Undead Ahead 2, The Tale of the Midnight Ride. I love the fucking epicness of that name. And the lyrics in that song were so phenomenal. Remind me of hardcore rap so much. Like Crimson Coagulates, Severed Head Bouquet. It's like listening to a horror movie, and I fucking love it. I really do.
I feel like this is the first album we've really agreed on between our ratings and our top 5. So it's about flipping time.
We did the same thing on Heroin Diaries.
Oh well, yeah, we did on that, but this was a little different.
Heroin Diaries.
That's a good one too.
Epic.
We've agreed on a few things on a lot of albums actually. So
right.
it's just when you bring your fucking pop Nicki Cardi shit, where the fuck it is, Nicki Minaj shit.
You just wait. I can bring up an epically horrible album, and you will hate me.
Oh, I got plenty of those too. Don't you worry, princess.
Oh,
but
this one's from Beyond the Grave. I promise you.
I could bring like 30 Elvis albums in a row. Just saying.
Okay.
We'll be calling it a trap for sure. But cause I love you too much. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm getting stuck in my Elvis head. But David, we went through our albums thrice, and we want to thank you for coming on because it's been a fun fucking show. It really has.
No, thanks for having me.
I almost wish they actually went a little longer, but it is what it is. There's only so much you could talk about certain things. But where can people find you if they so choose?
Yeah, so I've got a website, davidrichardsauthor.com. You can check out my books. I'm also on Instagram, davidrichardsauthor. Those are the two best spots.
Oh yeah, I totally blew a blank there for a hot second. Tell them about your books for a second so they know what they're looking for.
Yeah, so my first book is about finding your purpose in life called Whiskey and Yoga. My next book, I'm actually working on a screenplay for right now called The Lighthouse Keeper. And then I wrote a pretty intense book during the pandemic that puts Thor into the heart of the Christian story as the God of Thunder. So it's called Love Letters to the Virgin Mary, The Resurrection of King David. And if you Google the cover, you'll see that it's got Thor's hammer Mjolnir on the cover. So,
ooh, Thor and Christianity,
huh? Very interesting.
Yeah, doing what they did in freaking ancient Sweden a long time ago, but that's what all the goddamn monks and nuns did. But I love it because when Christians started writing stories about Thor, that's when he started pissing his pants drunk at weddings. So they started making him like a joke of a character. But I might check out that book. That sounds pretty fucking awesome, actually. I like mythology and religion, so the two of them combined might be a cool thing. But well, I mean, they're the same thing basically. But seeing Christianity and Norse mythology combined would be awesome. And Jaimie, where can they find you if they dare?
Oh, the Book of Faces. That's probably the easiest place to start. Is just find me on Facebook under Jaimie Fuller. You can find me with Instagram. Those are usually the best spots. You can find me on Twitter, but I'm not really on there. My name's on there. It doesn't mean I do anything there, but hit up there sometimes on Sundays, very rarely right now because of my schedule. You can catch me on Bracket Bastards. Otherwise, you can find me every Tuesday here when we do the Maniacal Music Musings.
That's right, folks. Just like the bathroom walls, because her name's there doesn't mean she's there. And
I sure hope my name is nowhere on anybody's walls.
For a good time call, Jaimie, for a good time call. But 867-5309. Go ahead and call it, folks.
Yeah.
But, nice.
Yeah, I'm Jenny's next door neighbor.
But you can find both your musers on Facebook as being broadcast on Squatchy Largefoot's page. He's a bipedal Sasquatch who was trained by extraterrestrials to speak and write. I don't know why he likes to do things in my podcast, but he's just that kind of creature. And you can see us on Uncensored, Untamed, and I always forget that. What the fuck? Oh my god. I can't believe I forgot the third one. How dare you, Jeremy? The UQ Podcast Collective on Facebook, though. Look it up. You'll find it. You can find us on XXBaby in the Gram as that Juggalo Bastard, and you can find us on TikTok as that Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And the only place to see all episodes we've ever done is YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings. Come back next week to see what albums we talk about and who the guest is. I honestly don't know at this point myself. I gotta look it up. But
I was gonna say this is like the second week that I haven't even had you telling me what to do and then getting on me because I don't know what I'm gonna choose yet.
I had a busy day at work, but and come back a week from this Saturday to see the first part of the Ranker Top 79 Doo-Wop Songs bracket. And yeah, I got to pick a bracket finally. And I've been wanting to pick this one for a month, so fuck yes. But come back then, check it all out, find us at all the places, and come back next time, folks. Have a good night.